to another Coach Dave Academy lap guide with myself, Kieran Harrison. This week we're back in the Aston GT4 for week 4 in the GT4 challenge, and as you can see, we're at Mid-Ohio this week. Without further ado, let's just get started. So that was the fast lap around Mid-Ohio in the Aston GT4. I'm now going to, as usual, take you around a slow lap. I'm going to run through the replay and just point out all the driving lines and braking points, etc. with the track. So here we are, just before the last corner. We're flat from this point towards the line anyway. You can open up if you're on a quali lap. You can really run wide here to get a cut back line. Gains you maybe half a tenth to the first corner. But yeah, here we go, starting the lap. The line's just quite early, just here. We're already looking to turn 1. It's a really short straight. So I'm looking here to the 200 board that you can see on the right. Just as I go past that, I'm starting to brake, as you can see there. I never brake very hard for this one, just maybe 40% and then fading off. If you brake too hard, you'll just go a bit too straight and then you end up scrubbing too much speed. And the thing that I'm aiming for with this corner, I find that the curb, even though it's reasonably big, it's actually fast to take it. If you take the whole curb the whole way along, just get your wheels on it and stay on it. That seems to be the fastest. Otherwise, you've got to miss the curb altogether. You don't want to hit it and fall off. That's when you lose time. But yeah, you can see that the car just gets great traction around this track. That's the general theme. I'm already hard on the power here just before I hit the curb, and then flat as soon as I'm on it. Just carry the speed through. Pretty easy to do. The car has loads of grip at this track for some reason. But now heading to the hairpin up here, we're looking again for the 200 board, which is the second board. This time I'm braking just before it, down to third gear for this corner. We never go lower than third at this track, in this car at least. As you can see there, I'm just braking, just starting to brake, just as we're about to go past the 200 board. And you want to turn in relatively early, just miss the first apex, but then turn it back and get a late apex so you can get hard on the power, because this is the biggest straight on the track. You want to carry the speed out. So you can see I run the car maybe a car width from the inside the whole way around. Just run it out. Turn the corner more into a V rather than hugging the apex. You want to hit apex twice. So this is your first apex just off the curb, and then you slow it down in the middle of the corner, and then you're able to get on the power really hard as you hit the second apex. Use all the curb. I was very close there with the grass, but yeah, I got away with it. And then that fires you out onto the straight. This is your best overtaking opportunity on the track for sure into the following corner. But you can actually do it on both sides, because if you get stuck on the outside, if somebody defends, you then have the inside for the next corner. Just beware of being forced off onto the grass, because it's quite easy to do that. But for this next corner anyway, I'm looking towards the 300 and the 400 board. I think I brake somewhere just as I'm going past the 400 board. Just now, it's just gone out of shot of my screen, but it's literally just off the screen. So it's significantly before the 300 board. As you can see from the cockpit though, these boards are quite far to the side of your peripheral. So it's pretty much braking just as the 300 gets out of view. And then we start to brake. We're braking really hard for this one, down to 4th initially, and then right on the apex I go to 3rd, and then I start to get on the power reasonably hard, just controlling it a little bit. It will wheel spin if you go full throttle, but you can go quite hard on it. And then we use pretty much all the track here. You can tighten it on this corner just to open up the next one a bit, but it doesn't make too much difference. Just as we start to turn the car away from the corner, we then hit the brakes. Again, got to be gentle and trail brakey with this one because you're coming over the crest, so you do lose the grip at some point. And then I got on the power before the apex, but then as you can see, there's the steep crest, so you're gonna have to lift again as you go over that. So just feathering the throttle a bit at about 70%, just being careful not to lose the traction. But as soon as you're over the crest, the grip really arrives for the rear, so you can then go flat as you come down the hill. Don't run out too wide because you need to make sure you get all the way back to the left for the following corner, because this is a very flowing sequence, so one corner does upset the next. So this one we want to just as we're pointing back towards the left, you can see maybe a bit of darker tarmac. Just before that, I'm on the brakes again. This time quite gently again. We'll leave it in 3rd for this section. So just gently brake and trail brake, and you don't want to take too much of this curb, because if you take it too much too early, you end up getting on 2 wheels as you go over the grass there on the inside, and that affects your traction. Then we go flat and take all of the left curb on the inside. Be quite aggressive as you turn back, because at this point you've got good grip, but then as soon as you go over the crest ahead, you lose the grip, so you can't turn as hard there. So you can see I cut the grass just a little bit there, and I'm turning quite hard, but then as I get to the crest, I'm straightening off, because I know the rear is going to go light, and I'm going to lose the rear if I don't go straight over the crest, but I want to stay flat, so it's key to do that. It's actually a blind crest, so if you've never driven the track before, it's hard to know where the next corner is, but you do get used to it. But you do want to try and get as far left as you can before you go over the crest. Flat over the crest, and then aiming for this curve on the right, and just as we leave it with our rear wheels is when we brake. Reasonably aggressively on the brakes, but just don't press it too hard. And also, I like to do an aggressive downshift to 3rd here. The car seems to handle it quite nicely, and it helps to slow the car down. And pretty much as I'm about now, I'm downshifting to 3rd already. Try and carry as much speed as you can over this point, because you can get on the power quite hard, but as you go over the crest, you're going to have to be wary that you can't quite go flat before the crest, because as you can see, I just lift a little bit more, maybe get to 90%, and then back off just a little bit as I go over the crest as the rear goes light, and then as soon as I'm over the crest, it's flat. Use all of the curb on the outside just to make sure you can carry as much speed as possible. This corner's flat, but we're just trying to hug the right side because that's where we want to turn in from for the next part. I'm just looking for where the road straightens out, basically, or where the wall. Well, I suppose if you draw a line from that bit of the wall to the grass there, that's the line I want to drive on. And at that point there, I'm braking just after the 300 board. Roughly halfway between 200 and 300, but for me personally, I'm looking more for the point where the white line kind of straightens out as my reference. Just braking a little bit down to 4th, and you have to turn in earlier than you expect here, because I feel like the curb's a bit deceptive because it starts further around the corner than normal, but you can take all of the curb. I take just a little bit here, and you can see how early I'm getting back on the power. Already flat out here, just as we're coming around. And this is the final corner you have to think about, really. As I said, you can set it up for a quali lap, but in this occasion, on a fast lap, we're looking at this yellow curb on the right-hand side, and just as we're leaving it, you've got to make sure you're back on the track as you leave it, but just as it ends, that's when we get on the brakes. Again, just braking reasonably gently, down 1 gear to 3rd, and trail braking in through this one. You can stay quite tight, but I prefer to come out to roughly the middle of the track, and then get it turned back so that we can apex on this, about halfway around this second curb. And then now I can get on the power quite hard. I'm actually getting on the power quite early, but then now full throttle. And that's when you just want to get full throttle when you're confident you're not going to have to lift again through the next part. So that's where it can help. If you were to run wider in this part, you can cut back tighter and then get an easier run through the final corner. But I was finding, at least on fresh tyres, from this sort of line, you can quite easily hold it flat anyway. Don't cut too much of this curb, because as you go over the grass, it just causes a little bit of wheel spin. And that can sometimes upset the car. I get away with it there just because it's a really small amount, but you don't really want to do any more than that. But yeah, then carrying the speed out on the straight, you can use the curb if you need, but that's it. It's a short lap around here, so that brings us to the end. So there we have it. That was another lap guide in the Aston GT4. I hope you enjoy this track as much as I do. It's actually one of my favourites. The key really is just getting used to all the undulations and natural elevation changes. The car seems to get a lot of grip around here. I'm assuming it's the surface might be quite grippy, but that really helps with the traction because otherwise it'd be quite difficult over all the crests and things. But yeah, so thanks for tuning in. If you want any more information about Coach Dave or all the stuff we provide, all the setups, lap guides and things, just check out the Discord or the website and you'll be able to find everything you need there. But that's it from me for this one, so I'll see you in the next one.